Floor cleaning is one of the most fundamental jobs of professional custodians and janitors. It's also one of the most important tasks you can perform, as floor surfaces must not only be clean, they must also not pose a slipping hazard to the persons walking on them. One of the most difficult parts of this job is to balance a shined floor with a non-slip surface. Some wax and cleaning material create a great-looking floor, but at the same time, they become slippery surfaces. This program provides tips on how to clean floors, yet leave them in a safe condition. It's not difficult, but it does require some effort on your part. First, let's discuss dirt. Dirt is any floor's #1 enemy. Regardless of how it gets on the floor, it's there, even if you can't see it. There are always tiny particles of dirt on floors, which may be too small to see, or they're in cracks or tiny pockets on the floor. Dry cleaning techniques, such as dust mops and vacuums, can't always remove dirt and dust. Tobacco smoke particles will get onto floor surfaces and stain floors. Floors can take a beating, and they require good maintenance to keep them in serviceable and safe condition. We're also talking about bacteria on the floor surfaces. Bacteria are very tiny microorganisms that multiply quite rapidly at room temperature. Bacteria causes diseases, foul odors, and can actually create floor surface problems. Bacteria is everywhere. Some of it's good, but much of it is bad. So the problem becomes getting rid of bacteria during cleaning. Okay, we know that dirt and bacteria are always on floors and that dust mopping and vacuuming don't always remove all the dirt and bacteria. So what's the answer? Proper floor care requires an understanding of some basic cleaning techniques as well as the correct way to use certain items of equipment. There must be hundreds of different types of machines and equipment, so we're not going to stress the type of equipment to use. We'll concentrate on the process of cleaning so you can apply that to the type of equipment you use. Chemicals. The very first rule is to follow the equipment and chemical manufacturer's instructions. They're the experts. So if you have a question, ask your supervisor, and don't be hesitant about calling your local equipment distributor or manufacturer to ask questions. The wrong type of equipment or chemical on a particular floor can cause serious damage or safety hazards. As you know, wet or dirty floors are hazardous, so don't allow floors to remain wet or dirty. When you're cleaning floors, you often have to get them wet, so use warning signs when you're cleaning. Installation and maintenance of doormats is one method of reducing the dirt, grime, and grease tracked onto floor surfaces. During maintenance, be a safety inspector. If you notice torn carpeting, loose tiles, or other hazards, report them to management so they can be corrected. Floor cleaning. Dust mopping will remove approximately 90% of the soil and debris found on most hard and resilient floor surfaces. Dust mopping or sweeping should be the first thing you do when cleaning floors. Damp mopping removes lightly embedded soil and a small amount of the floor finish, depending on the chemical solution you're using and the temperature of the solution. Water should be cold or warm, but never hot. Spray buffing is a method for renewing resilient floors that are black marked, scuffed, scratched, and lightly soiled. To spray buff, you first spray a thin coat of polish on the floor, then buff the area while it's moist. This produces a clean, shiny floor. Burnishing is a method using an ultra-high-speed floor machine to renew the floor surface by actually melting some of the finish already on the floor. It's fast and gives the floor a clean, shiny, wet look. Burnishing eliminates the need for frequent stripping or scrubbing. Scrubbing removes soils, scuffs, and black marks while not removing all the layers of floor finish and avoids the need for applying a sealer prior to recoating with finish. Stripping is the way old floor finish is removed. To strip a floor, you must go over the floor completely several times with a mop or use a machine equipped with a stripping brush. This is a time-consuming effort, so it should be done only when no easier method is available or desired. Sealing is the process which applies a base coat to the floor that fills in rough, porous surfaces, which results in a better adhering and appearing finish coat. It also reduces the number of finish coats required to obtain the best appearance. There are special formulas of polish for this application. Of course, finishing fills in the pores of the floor surface and prevents stains, dirt, and other harmful materials from coming in contact with the actual floor covering material. The number of finish coats depends upon the thickness of the application, the porousness of the floor surface, the level of appearance desired, and whether a coat of sealer has been applied as a base coat. Floor coverings can be divided into 5 major categories: resilient, woodlike, masonry, specialty, and conductive. Resilient includes asphalt, vinyl composition tile, calendared or cushioned vinyl, rubber tile, and linoleum. Some types of resilient floors have a seal applied by the manufacturer, and this seal must be removed by scrubbing before you can successfully apply additional seal, wax, or other finish. Some of the asphalt floors should not be cleaned using abrasive discs because it can contain asbestos. Never use solvent or paste waxes on asphalt floors. Some soaps and detergents tend to leave a film on asphalt tile, and of course, don't use oil or oil-based cleaning processes. Vinyl floors can scratch and become damaged quite easily, so use care when cleaning and maintaining this type of floor surface. Vinyl composition floors are more flexible and less porous than asphalt tile, but it's difficult to tell the difference between the two. Vinyl composition may also contain asbestos. Provide regular daily maintenance and use synthetic floor finish. This type of floor is very porous, so sealing is necessary prior to finishing. Some marks are difficult to get rid of, so you may have to use wet sandpaper or a coarse synthetic scratch pad, but again, when you're working with potential asbestos materials, follow your organization's policies and procedures. Cushioned vinyl is sometimes called solid vinyl. Dust mop daily to remove small abrasive particles that can scratch the surface. This surface doesn't require a sealer. Marks can be removed with synthetic scratch pads and detergent. Don't use coarse pads or steel wool on this surface, and don't use abrasives for stripping. Regular maintenance is very important. Rubber tile should have regular daily maintenance for longevity and a high level of appearance. Avoid the use of oils, grease solvents, and harsh cleansers, and don't use coarse abrasives, floor pads, or steel wool on rubber tile floors. If color pigment separation appears, it can be removed by scrubbing. Linoleum nowadays is rare, but you may run into linoleum every now and then. Linoleum should be sealed with solvent-base or water-emulsion seals. Use neutral synthetic detergents. Finish with a solvent or a water-emulsion synthetic finish, depending on the type of seal used. Don't use a solvent seal with a solvent finish only. Don't use bar cleaners, and limit the use of wet cleaning procedures. Don't use ammoniated cleaners or strippers, as they lead to discoloration. Brittle or cracked floors may be treated with an application of boiled linseed oil. Allow the application to sit overnight, then wipe off any excess, mop, and allow to dry for 48 hours. Then you can seal and finish. Wood floors require daily sweeping. Wet cleaning should be avoided as much as possible. Keep in mind that water is wood's worst enemy. Wet stripping should be used only when water-based finishes have been applied. Dry stripping is useful on wood floors that have been sealed and finished with solvent or spirit wax type products. Seal and varnish strippers should be used when you wish to remove shellac, varnish, lacquer, and most paint-like products from wood flooring. It's best to check with the manufacturer for best results, and it's important to note that soft woods often require more sealer than hard woods. The floor must be free of all dust and lint. A tack rag is excellent for picking up the really small particles that a broom or vacuum miss. Don't use a treated dust mop for this operation, however. The next group is masonry, which includes a variety of ceramic tile, paver tile, quarry tile, conductive tile, and others. Use synthetic detergents that are neutral on the pH scale, and always check with the manufacturer before using penetrating sealers or finish. When scrubbing, use synthetic pads or nylon grit brushes for best results. Don't use coarse abrasives, as these will scratch the surface, and don't use strong alkaline chemicals, as they tend to build up and crystallize, and repeated use will cause the grout and tile to separate. Don't use soaps on tiles, as this will leave a dull film on the surface. If you must use strong chemicals to clean, be sure to neutralize and immediately clean the surface when you're finished. Several clear water rinses are also recommended. Water can soak through the grout or porous tile and damage the tile. A penetrating sealer effectively holds water and other liquids above the surface of the tile and grout, which prevents the damage. When cleaning stone floors such as marble, terrazzo, slate, stone, granite, and brick, don't use harsh alkaline or acid chemicals. Use neutral synthetic detergents for daily maintenance and avoid abrasives except in spot or stain removal. Don't use oil-treated sweeping compounds or dust mops. Terrazzo that have had heavy surface coatings such as shellac, lacquer, or epoxy will require special chemical strippers, but these can be very damaging to the floor surface, so it's best to follow specific company procedures and those recommendations provided by the manufacturer. It's always advisable to use walk-off mats as needed to reduce the amount of sand and grit that's tracked onto the floor surface. There's much more to cleaning and maintaining floors, but this gives you an idea of the specialty training and effort needed for each type of floor. Years ago, sealing, cleaning, polishing, and finishing floors was fairly simple. Today, with all the different types of flooring, different cleaning chemicals, polishes, waxes, and types of equipment, you need to match the manufacturer's recommendations with the surface. Don't take anything for granted. Each professional janitor and custodian must be knowledgeable and make the effort to do the best job possible within your company's policies and procedures, and of course, within the manufacturer's recommendations. If you're not sure about something, ask your supervisor. If you have an idea, share it with management. It may make everyone's job easier and safer. Keep safety in mind all the time. Proper handling of equipment, storage of materials, chemical use, and of course, wearing protective equipment when it's necessary. It's the only way.